This red and rugged peninsula is home to one of the world's biggest LNG projects, the North West Shelf. Woodside Energy has been processing gas here in WA's Pilbara since the 1980s. Its current licence expires in 2030, and for the past 6 years, the gas giant has been trying to get a 45-year extension, a proposal that's long divided opinions.
We will challenge this at every level, in every court. The climate movement is united against this project. It's an absolute climate bomb.
I think it's time that the opponents of our industry face up to the fact that they are making the energy transition harder and riskier.
It's net zero, not zero. Net zero.
This place is being destroyed by emissions and government approvals.
Whatever decision I make, there'll be lots of people unhappy.
Woodside's licence extension got the green light from WA's Environment Minister in December last year.
The consideration of its extension has now taken more than 6 years at the state government level. It's gone through a robust approval process.
But the final decision came down to the federal Environment Minister, Murray Watt, a hot topic at this week's Australian Energy Producers Convention.
It is vital that people hear the facts about gas and understand its importance to their lives, the Australian economy, and to decarbonising Asia.
We're not saying gas needs to be turned off overnight. We're not calling for Woodside's current operations to be turned off. What we're saying is that we can't afford new fossil fuels to be developed right here in Western Australia.
Extending the life of the North West Shelf gas plant is one thing, but it's where Woodside wants to develop new gas fields after this approval that has environmentalists concerned.
The Browse resources are located offshore, 425 kilometres north of Broome in Australia's northwest.
Woodside Energy and its joint venture partners have separately been trying to get federal and state environmental approval for the $30 billion Browse gas project since 2018. Environmentalists fear it'll harm ecosystems and corals at the nearby Scott Reef.
Scott Reef is a pristine coral atoll off the coast of the Kimberley. It's where endangered pygmy blue whales feed and live, where a unique species of green sea turtles nest. So if you build Australia's biggest new gas field on top of that reef, it's absolutely devastating for those endangered species.
Climate change and marine life aren't the only concerns.
This place is our first law, Murujuga to Burrup Peninsula.
Woodside's gas plant sits on Murujuga, an area home to one of the world's largest collections of ancient Aboriginal art, more than 1 million petroglyphs, some of them tens of thousands of years old.
It tells a story of our history, our ancient history. 50,000 plus years ago, we have the first human face carved into the rock. This place we're standing now is like a library, a Bible.
Industrial development on Murujuga over the past 60 years has led to fears pollution could be damaging the petroglyphs. Traditional custodian Raylene Cooper has filed legal action arguing industrial developments on the Burrup Peninsula threaten the future of the ancient carvings and is calling for Minister Watt to visit Murujuga.
He needs to come here. I've invited him, the Minister for Water and Environment, the protection of water and environment. Nothing's happening to protect anything here.
To date, the science on this has been mixed. A $27 million WA government-led rock art monitoring program has been trying to find the answer, working with Murujuga Aboriginal Corporation and leading scientists from Curtin University. Their latest findings were handed to the Federal Environment Department months ago.
My understanding is that the Western Australian Government has provided that report to the department. It's a matter for the Western Australian Government what they decide in terms of releasing that report publicly.
But you need to take those findings into account.
I will be considering that in my decision.
The 800-page scientific report prepared by experts from Curtin University only became public on Friday afternoon, alongside this 8-page summary prepared by government bureaucrats. The chief statistician on this scientific report has written to the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation in an email obtained by 7:30 to complain about how some of the research team's findings have been presented in this executive summary. His complaint related to this graph, which the scientists came up with to inform safe pollution levels to protect the rock art. Theirs shows 2 lines representing early warning indicators for unacceptable pollution levels. In the summary document, the lower level was removed, prompting the professor to write,
"In my opinion, this constitutes unacceptable interference in the scientific integrity of the project. The contract specifies that the highest international standards of scientific practice shall be followed in the research. Alteration of a scientific result definitely does not meet these standards."
There was an incident where one of the graphs was simplified in the actual executive summary, but the full details of that graph are actually on display in the main body of the report.
Did that amount to interference though?
No, it didn't, and quite frankly, that's offensive.
Whenever you have a government report that comes out 1 week before a nation-changing ministerial decision, released late on a Friday afternoon when most people have knocked off, there's probably cause to look at that report pretty carefully.
Archaeology professor Benjamin Smith has written several papers on the risks industry poses to Murujuga's rock art. He believes the latest research paper confirms this by showing elevated porosity or degradation in rocks located closest to industry.
They believe that that porosity is a direct result of industrial pollution. They think it's by far the most likely explanation for that porosity.
The report's authors say the cause of that damage could be historical and linked to a retired power station that was operating in the 1970s. But Smith says his own research suggests otherwise, because tests done on rock sample collected in the 1990s do not show the same level of degradation.
Yeah, so we have one additional piece of evidence that proves that the damage is not historic, that it wasn't done by the Dampier power plant.
On the same day Minister Watt approved Woodside's Karratha gas plant extension, the United Nations released a draft decision knocking back a bid to add the Murujuga cultural landscape to the World Heritage List, citing concerns about emissions degrading the Aboriginal carvings. In a statement, Federal Environment Minister Murray Watt said he was disappointed and suggested it was influenced by factual inaccuracies. Meanwhile, Woodside has welcomed the minister's approval, which comes with strict conditions the company must meet in regard to air emissions, but those details are yet to be made public. The company has 10 days to respond before the minister's decision is considered final.
I won't preempt the work of the team. I'll say the conditions relate to heritage and air quality. So a team is working through with the department to understand exactly what the conditions mean, and we'll respond and work with the department over the coming days.
Opponents are vowing to keep fighting.
I will never stop, and when I stop, I still have kids. I have family. This is not about me. This is about everybody and the future of our world, our people, our everything. This is what this is about.